Hello, I'm Jessica Hegarty, and I am so honored and excited to be part of this event that's truly changing the world. And as I mentioned earlier, I feel like we collectively have the power to increase bean consumption for the betterment of the environment, for individual health, for poverty reduction, just to name a few. And I can't think of a better tool or vehicle for supporting or essentially saving the environment, adding years to our lives, feeding the world than the humble bean. So with that, I wanted to welcome you all to our panel, See It to Bean, Leave It. And this is really going to be more of a storytelling panel. So these entrepreneurs who are pushing the frontier in innovation, they're going to be sharing their experiences. And it's going to be a bit of a how it started versus how it's going. Going to be sharing some lessons learned, and there's going to be some stories of struggle, some stories of triumph, to both teach and inspire us all. So we have Mike Anderson, president at Anderson Northwest and 13 Foods. We have Aldo Gonzalez, founder of Bean Vivo Organics. We have Dr. Juan Salinas, founder of Perfect Life Nutrition. And we have Michael Lusink here joining us as well, serial food tech entrepreneur and CEO and founder of Boon Food Concepts. But for those of you who are considering starting or growing a business, I think this panel is going to serve to give you some perspective on the challenges you may face. And for those who are supporting brands and manufacturers, the growers, the ingredient suppliers, the distributors, this is going to serve as an opportunity for you to get some context for your customers so you can support them more effectively. So let me just say, for those of you who are not in the food entrepreneur world, starting or growing a business, especially in the world of food, is really not for the faint of heart. It's kind of like having a baby. You know it's tough, you hear it's really hard, and then you don't truly know until you go through it. And then you're like, how are there 8 million people on this earth? Or 8 billion? How did our ancestors do it? I think the same is true in the food startup land. It's incredible how many brands there are out there doing this. And I think it's really tough, but it's also so important, especially for innovative brands to enter this space. And there is a lot of space for these companies, as is evidenced by the inspiring information that we're seeing here today. So it's important for us all to show the world just how delicious, nutritious, and versatile beans are. So with that, I'd like to just share a little bit about me, because I didn't do that in the previous panel, but I have a history doing pricing analytics and competitive intelligence with Whole Foods Market. From there, I've done consulting with a variety of brands, including Blue Zones, Beyond Meat, Plant Burger, just to name a few, and I'm currently VP of Product Development for Plant Strong Foods. And I mentioned Plant Strong is in the plant-based space. We're a plant-based brand in multiple product categories. We do cereals, we do snacks, we do, most notably and most relevantly to this group, chilies and stews, and we have those in about 3,000 retailers in the US. But our brand has a really interesting backstory in that our CEO and founder, Rip Esselstyn, actually used to be a firefighter. That's what he did for a living. And his father, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, was actually an early pioneer in reversing heart disease, the #1 killer worldwide, with diet. So Rip, our CEO and founder, grew up with this influence of eating a plant-based diet, predominantly fruits and vegetables and grains and beans, and knew how impactful it could be and how it could improve people's health. So while he was a firefighter, he learned, well, I'll just ask the group, does anyone care to venture as to what the #1 killer of firefighters in the line of duty is? It's not fires or anything. The most dangerous job in the world, #1 killer, heart attacks. So when he learned this, he was inspired to save the heroes effectively and did a little experiment where he got all of the men in his fire station to try a whole food plant-based diet for a period of time, They did before and after biometric screenings and couldn't argue with the numbers. Decreased cholesterol, decreased blood pressure, lowered body weight, improved their blood sugar. And that exercise inspired a book, and that book inspired our food line that is now Plant Strong. So I just wanted to share that with you all. Our goal with Plant Strong is to reverse chronic disease with whole plant food. And what makes our products really unique is that we actually don't use any processed oils. So there's no olive oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil. And we found an audience that values that oil-free attribute. And that created a big challenge for us, creating products with a similar mouth feel, but without, the fat from the oils or from creams or traditional dairy. And for us, the solution has actually been to incorporate beans. So right now, the most innovative thing we do, we add beans to the liquefier step. We use a retort process for our products as well, so that last panel was really interesting and informative for me. But we've got a Thai carrot where we blend some red lentils. We've got a creamy white bean where we blend some cannellinis. And for that, we've been able to actually achieve a creamy mouth feel. That's the innovative thing that we do. We don't do anything like what we saw with Joanna's presentation yesterday, which, by the way, I think BeanCon23, the location has already been decided, but BeanCon2025, I'm voting for Bangkok, Thailand. I think we need to go check out those places, right? So, with that, I'd love to hear from these panelists who are truly pushing the frontier of innovation, and I'm really excited to hear from this group and see what I can learn as well. So with that, I'd like to kick it off to you, Mike, to share a little bit about your story.
Hello, my name is Mike Anderson. Anderson Northwest is the company, 13 Foods the brand. How did I get started? Where was I and how did I get here? I was a college football coach, which in America is a really big sport, and it's a really big deal. Loved it, enjoyed my everyday job. I happened to be at a lunch one time and half listening to a conversation and overheard a lady say, well, there's a really big issue in the U.S. as far as there isn't any ready-to-eat lentils. There's not a lot of options. They're hard to can. So we're trying to figure out a way to get that done. And in my education background, being a business student, I go, well, geez, that seems simple. I'll do that. So I walked into a grocery store trying to figure out what type of gap. So in our story, like what type of gap is in the market? So you walk down the canned foods section and you see canned peas, canned corn, canned beans. Okay, about everything that you could possibly want in a can. Kept walking through the grocery store, walked through the frozen section, and you see frozen peas, frozen corn, frozen vegetables. Where are the beans at? So there was a gap in the market that I saw, so I went out trying to fill that gap. So the long and short of it, once you see the gap, recognize what you want to do, you go into the research and development part. That, for me, was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. About a year and a half later, we finally figured out how to, on a mass scale, take all different types of beans, black beans, red beans, pinto beans, lentils, chickpeas, and actually have a consistent product that we could mass produce out to everybody. Our first thought for market entry was food service. Not being within the food service industry, I didn't realize all the hoops you have to jump through to get your product on a product list, especially when it's something that's never been made before. There's areas for the frozen corn and the frozen peas, but there's no areas to go in on the frozen bean section. So whether you're talking military, you're talking big food service like US Foods, Cisco, if you're talking school foods, there's absolutely no way for entry until you get over that hoop. So now we have a product that we've worked on for a year and a half, and big mistake, we can't get into the market that we thought we were going to get into. So we did a U-turn and went CPG. And it went really well for us, actually. Within a year and a half, we were in 3,000 stores across the U.S., everything from Whole Foods on the high-end stores to Safeway, Albertsons, mass market type stores. But within that, we didn't realize the cost that goes into it. So we weren't correctly capitalized at that time. So we started not necessarily backing ourselves out of it, but trying to figure out how we can get back into the food service section that we originally wanted to be in. So that was us trying to find our niche, and we eventually did, and it's a good spot for us. But within that, when you're creating a new product and you're coming out to the market with it, I really see two different aspects that you need to look at. One's the innovation part, and then the other is the marketing part. And behind it, in these pictures, is our marketing portion of it. When you're selling food, you got to make it look good. So anybody that's going to start a new product, I really, really suggest you go out and make sure you're doing a great job with your pictures that you're putting out to the consumer. So within innovation, how I really saw what we did was we wanted to expand a category. So we want to take a current and proven product, a cooked bean that everybody likes to eat, but it's also easy to eat, and expand what's already out there. So we wanted to avoid cannibalization. So talking to the can guys, we didn't want to take away the can people's market. We wanted to expand the category of ready-to-eat bean. There's a lot of surveys within the CPG market. People that shop down the frozen aisle don't necessarily shop down the canned aisle, and vice versa. So within that, when there's no beans in the frozen section, there's no product for those consumers that are getting their ready-to-eat, easy-peasy products in the frozen section. So that was us avoiding the cannibalization, but also using a current and proven product to get it out to the mass. Here's a picture of our products. This is our CPG right here. We put a lot of thought through it. We actually came out 2 different times with 2 different iterations of our packaging, really trying to push the high-end side of it into the Whole Foods type market. And this is what we came up with. But we also, like I said, sell food service. And anybody out there that wants to buy a ton tote from me, we do industrial as well. The second portion, when you're coming out with a new product, and what we try to do is expanding knowledge. So the hard part, and I'm sure all these other entrepreneurs will tell you, one of the really hard parts when you come out with a new product is getting the news out to people that it's here. Hey, by the way, you can get a ready-to-eat bean in the frozen section now. So that was a really, really tough portion for us to get over. A big hurdle is sharing that there's new options through a proven method, a ready-to-eat product that's cooked. And then we also really try to push into the new trends. And by that, I'll show you a video that we did. We actually put a link on our packaging so a consumer could see it, go right to this video. And we're selling the family farm-to-market story. We're also selling the sustainability piece that's huge over the last 10 years and getting more big, as we've seen through some of our speakers. By the way, this is actually one of our owners, too.
Hey, my name's Jeff Entman. I'm with Entman Brothers Farms. Farm with my dad, brother, and nephew. And I'm a 4th-generation farmer here in the United States. And my nephew and hopefully my boys someday will be the 5th generation here on the farm. There's family farms on both sides of my parents. My mom's grandfather came over here, moved over from Tennessee. My father's grandparents came from Germany. We actually farm both grounds, the ground of my mother's side of the family and then my father's side of the family as well. Emman Brothers Farms strives to be a sustainable farm. In the last 15 years, we have been practicing no-till farming. That is where we don't work the soil and we seed directly into the previous crop residue, and that way we don't have to till the ground, work it up, plow it or whatever to remove the residue and then seed into, because once you remove the residue, you open yourself up to erosion from wind and from rain. That's, it fills our streams up with sediment, it reduces the productivity of the ground, and it is not sustainable. Direct seed coupled with a good crop rotation helps the soil health. And then one of the crops that we rotate in is a legume. And legume is very good at fixing nitrogen, and it provides that nitrogen for that legume crop, and then it also provides nitrogen for the crop that follows. At Emman Brothers Farms, we pride ourselves in using sustainable farming practices to provide a quality product from our farm to the market.
So that's taking the whole entire piece of sustainability, educating the consumer, and showing them where their food is at the same time. Kind of the last message I wanted to give is when you're creating a new product or you're an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily, you don't want to miss the forest for the trees. We all see these cool new opportunities to push beans out there. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's what we try to do at 13 Foods. Take a proven concept of a frozen good with a proven ready-to-eat bean and put it out to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. To be honest, I am blown away by your insight in recognizing that there was an opportunity in the frozen space. I know that Whole Foods is doing things even with frozen grains, and I keep them in my freezer because there are times when I just don't have that 20 minutes to, do a quinoa. I think there's also a freshness perception, right, in frozen, that it might be more premium than canned. And you talked about the struggle of, just the capital to fund this kind of initiative and the time it takes. Product development, you're like, I can make beans in a few months. Product development, on average, we spend, honestly, 2 years to develop any product, start to finish. That's really what it takes. So again, that's one of the challenges that kind of surprised me personally getting into product development was the time. And then you talked about, the capital needed. I think what most people don't realize is not only does the, company need to make money, when you're getting your product into a retailer like a Whole Foods, let's say, there are expenses that you might not recognize. There's the distributor markup. There's the retailer wants 40% or more, and so these really truly stack up. My question for you is, how does the price point compare to something, in the dry bean category or the canned bean category? Because it is premium. I expect it to be higher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's and that's something we struggled with, trying to figure out how to, with the cold chain aspect of it, it's more expensive as well. But yeah, our price point, because it's a premium product, we were at like $3.99 in the U.S. A premium canned product will probably be $1.99, so it's almost double. But also matched kind of the premium pricing within the frozen vegetable category too.
Absolutely, and you see that markup with the grains as well, and I think that makes total sense. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for your presentation. That was wonderful. So next we're going to go to Aldo Gonzalez. He's going to be joining us remotely. Aldo is the founder of Bean Vivo Organics and is going to be sharing a little bit about his story.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be joining this, and thank you so much for the invite. I'm sorry I could not be there, but I really hope to be there next year. And anyways, my name is Aldo. I'm the founder of Bean Vivo. I'll tell you a little bit about our background and the story behind our products. I'm originally from Mexico, and as you all know, it is within our Latin culture that We eat beans every day, morning, lunch, and dinner. We have that within our culture, and we eat, and really that was probably one of the main reasons that it started. It was about 12 years ago that I came to the US to study an MBA, and I realized that there was so much potential, and really the perception on beans in the US 12 years ago was really all related to canned beans, and how well, majority of consumers here do not have the time to soak beans and cook them overnight and just prepare delicious dishes with them. So that's when I really thought that there could be so much potential of building a brand related to beans and legumes, and how to make just beans part of the daily diet for everybody, right? So in a nutshell, it was just how we could elevate the humble bean, that perception of, oh, it's a cheap product that you typically buy it in a can, but more elevated into, okay, what else can we season it with so that beans can be incorporated into everybody's daily diet. So that was really the reason. And of course, with the packaging, making it a little bit more sexy to eat beans every day. So that was really the reason how we started. And fast forward till today, we've now developed several products around beans and legumes. And really our thesis is just showing consumers that it's not an expensive item that they can incorporate into their shopping every week, and that whether it's morning, lunch, and dinner, they could have a delicious meal or a side dish that it's high in fiber, that it's high in protein as well, that has many good nutrients. And I think what's something really unique about our products is that all of them are manufactured in the U.S. We also source all of our beans locally in the U.S. And it's part of also of our mission is how we can tackle sustainability and climate change through the consumption of beans, which is now more important than ever, right? So the fact that we're sourcing locally, and the fact that organic beans, which is what we use, are a great rotation crop. There's so many benefits around, not only on the sustainability side, but again, coming back to the nutrition side, right? So that's how Bean Vivo started. So fast forward till today, Bean Vivo, probably one of our top products that people will find today are our seasoned beans in really convenient pouches. So what's unique about this product is they're shelf stable, they are already seasoned, and people can just open it from the top, put it inside a microwave, and within 60 seconds, they're ready to eat. And in Latin America, it's very common, or there has been for many, many years, other brands that have been doing it. But in the US, we wanted to be the first organic product to be offering a product like this. Besides this, we're also offering organic bean dips and other really interesting products that are now on the shelves also here in the US. And so as of today, we're expanding our product line. These pouches are now 10 ounces. So they're great for like 1 or 2 servings. We have different flavors and they're all quite delicious, right? And again, they're inexpensive. So for consumers to really understand how easy it is to incorporate beans into their daily diet. So that's our product lineup. I would say in terms of challenges, probably the biggest challenge has been I would say 2 things. One is just keeping up with our growth. We're still a startup and we're growing slowly, but at the same time, there's so much demand. So we have those typical growing pains, but most importantly, last year, because of inflation and supply chain issues that also had implications of our growth, right? So ingredients that are increasing in cost, but at the same time, we want to absorb some of those cost increases so that at the end of the day, consumers are able to buy something that is convenient at a reasonable price point. So those are some of the challenges that we have been facing. But I think the fact that we're sourcing beans locally in the U.S. also helps us to be closer to the source and developing more and more products for the mainstream consumer in the U.S. As of today, it's been really exciting because we've had really good demand, and we're also not only doing direct to consumer, which we get a lot of phenomenal feedback on how consumers understand the importance of having this type of packaging, having flexible pouches that they can open and enjoy even at their office or making dinner for their kids or whatnot, but also the fact that it's a convenient price point. So that's what we're doing in direct to consumer. Now in retail, we've now expanded quite aggressively to the rest of the U.S. So you can now find us at Walmart stores. You can find us at Kroger, at Publix, at some regions of Costco. So we're now in over 5,000 to 6,000 stores and growing quite fast. And what's next for us is developing other products around beans and legumes. So we're expanding our current line, and we're developing really, really interesting products around beans and legumes for the second half of this year. So I hope that by next year's event, I'll be able to show exactly what we're launching, but it's really, really interesting for us. Again, we are taking the humble bean to the next level, and we're just developing so many cool products that people will enjoy. So that's what we're doing. And I think the future for the next 5 to 10 years, even more so, it's going to be quite exciting because, again, beans and legumes are sort of the pillar of the plant-based movement. So there's so many areas where we can grow and develop more product. We're really good in innovation. We're really good in developing products and launch them in the marketplace. So we just feel we're in a really exciting time on what we're doing. And so other than that, just want to thank you, of course, for inviting me to this event. I'm sorry I cannot be at this moment. We're also participating in other international trade shows and expanding our growth. But I do look forward to participating on next year's BeanCon and be in front of you and saying hello and also networking with other companies that are similar to what we're doing and suppliers. And this is just great. So we're just thankful and happy to continue to support all of this big mission of bringing beans and legumes closer and to everybody's plate. And just that's pretty much it. So thank you so much. Have a great.
Thank you so much, Aldo. That is, it warms my heart to see success with a company like this. And I think some of the insights there, you know, the innovation that we see with that type of packaging is the barrier of pulling out a can opener, or I don't know if anybody's tried to open a Tetra Pak. It's actually kind of challenging. So I think that really easy tear seal is such a wonderful innovation that reduces that barrier for consumers. And you have this in your frozen product as well, right? Really easy to open. The idea of doing direct to consumer or e-commerce is also a really good option because you don't have that retailer margin of 40%. So of course it opens up a whole new can of worms. You have to find a distributor, you're dealing with shipping expenses, et cetera, but oftentimes it's an opportunity for brands to get things directly to their customer. It's also a way of having the information about your customers, right? You don't see it if it's a retailer's, you know, they don't share that information with the brand. So you get to know who's buying your product, how frequently, et cetera, and can do some more targeted marketing. So congratulations to Aldo. I'm so happy for his success. Next, we are going to move along to Dr. Juan Salinas. He is incredibly memorable. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I will let him kind of share his story. I had the pleasure of meeting him at the Plant-Based World Expo in 2019. He was sampling one of his Peanut Crunch products, and full disclosure, I let down my hair and took off my jacket and went back for seconds because it was so incredibly delicious. So with that, I'd like to kick it off to you, Dr. Juan. Yeah, we're so excited to have you be part of this panel today.
Hi, how are you? Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, we can.
All right, so thank you for the introduction. Like I said, my name is Dr. Juan Salinas. I'm actually here in New Jersey. I wanted to be there in Medellin with you guys. I'm sure the weather's much better over there than here. But the reason why I had to stay is because we are expanding and we just bought a new plant and we're starting a new manufacturing facility. And this week is where all the permits are being issued and all the inspections. So I had to be here for that. So I do apologize, but I look forward to meeting you guys in person sometime at one of the shows maybe, or maybe at next year's BeanCon. But I wanted to introduce you to our snack. It's called Peanut Crunch. And it's described as a peanut puff. I'm like, what? Why are you presenting peanuts? This is a BeanCon. All right, guys, take it easy because our product is actually made from beans, all right? So it's our first ingredient and it's the ingredient that we're proud of. And that's what makes us different from everything else. The story I'm gonna tell you today is an entrepreneurial story, but I will touch a little bit on our marketing lessons as well as our R&D, and I'm R&D guy, so it's gonna be a little bit heavier on the R&D and then a little bit on operations manufacturing. This slide here, I wanted to present it here because this is some of the learnings that we did initially in terms of marketing, how to market a product. When we first came out with a product, we wanted to be, everything for all. And we wanted to convey that this product had protein because it was supposed to be a snack for the sports nutrition area. So we wanted to make sure that we put that out there, and we thought that this was going to resonate very well with our consumers. Everybody was looking for protein. Every cereal box says protein on the front. So we're like, we're going to be the protein people doing, a peanut puff with protein. And so we came out with this design on the left that you can see. What we learned over the years, and we worked with this package for about 3 years, what we learned is that there was a confusion because we had a lot of the consumers thinking that this product was for kids, number one. And then they didn't really understand what was inside. There was not really a picture of what could be inside. And because it's a new product, they weren't sure as to what it was. And there was no reason for them to believe that this product was healthy. There was nothing there to say that. And so 3 years after that, we decided to redesign it because we learned all this from doing consumer, questioning, basically interacting with consumers at shows and getting feedback from them. And from our vendors, our distributors. So that's why we went to this new design. I wanted to highlight this initially because I wanted to show you how we wanted to promote the benefits of beans. We think having beans in the front of the package is important and actually be first, in the list of the other ingredients that we have. So we wanted to convey that this is a simple, nutritious ingredient. And it was made from navy beans, but it's still called a peanut puff. And I'll explain why. We can go to the next slide. Just a little bit about myself. Okay, I'm from Honduras. I came here after high school. I went to Rutgers University. I got my degree there and I started working here in New Jersey. So I worked for a lot of these big CPG companies like Nabisco, Kraft, and Nestle. But on top of that, I'm actually very active. I do some professional natural bodybuilder. I'm also very competitive in terms of sports. I do endurance competitions and things like that. So, why did I start this product? It always seems like for entrepreneurs, it always comes down to the same thing. It's either a problem that you have that, you feel like no one have a solution for you, or maybe it's someone that in your family or something close to you, something that you see. I think we saw an example of that from Mike before. For me, it was, I'm active and I want a snack, but I want a snack that actually supports that active lifestyle that I have. I'm working out, why do I need to fill myself up with sugary snacks or, snacks that are full of fat? That's where the idea came about. Okay, no, I need to create something that is good for me. And I know this is going to be good for everybody. So that's how the company started. In terms of R&D, like it was mentioned before, it takes usually a lot more than what you think it's going to take. For me, it took about a year. That's why you see that the company was founded in 2015, and we actually launched it in 2016, which is about a year and a half later, actually. I was in Shark Tank. On this picture here, where I'm kind of like just flexing, is part of the show when I was there. So if you guys get a chance, take a look at it. It's kind of funny. But I was there in 2020, and I got an investment from Mark Cuban. He was very interested in the product because it actually was made from navy beans. He tried it, and he loved it. He loved the flavor of it. Next slide. So again, everything's, every product innovation starts with, okay, what is the problem, right? Is there a problem, and is there a solution? If there's a solution, then it's not an innovation. Somebody's already doing it. So for me, again, it was, okay, there isn't a snack that actually supports an active lifestyle, and it has to be really tasty, right? So I wanted to have something that tastes just like a Cheeto or a Dorito, but that, you didn't have the guiltness that you have after having a whole bag of Cheetos, right? You feel like crappy, not only physically, but emotionally, and then like, oh, I'm gonna gain weight and all this other stuff, right? So the product that I wanted to make had to have, protein, it had to be low in sugar, low in fat, it had to have good carbohydrates that supports, an active lifestyle. It has to be high in fiber and, low in fat. So I'm like, what ingredient can I use to do this? Next slide. Of course, navy beans, right? Navy beans. They have everything that I was looking for. They have protein, good for repairing and building muscle. They were low GI carbs. So, it's good for sustained energy. Fiber to make you feel full and not overeat, and gut health. And then low in sugar and low in fat. We all are watching our weight and making sure that, we don't overeat or eat too much of these other nutrients that, will make us fat, right? So navy bean was a perfect candidate. From an R&D point of view, this is great, but there are certain, and especially in sports nutrition, there are certain qualities that you need to have in terms of the nutrition in order to be effective for people that are active and into sports. And so, I had to come up with, how we're going to solve, the challenges that navy bean brings. And if you go to the next slide, I'm highlighting 4 of the challenges here. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. So 4 of the challenges. One is that the protein in beans, in general, are not complete proteins, right? Or they have some amino acids that are limited. In case of our navy beans, they're limited in methionine. So you need all essential amino acids in order to be effective to build and repair muscle. So that's one challenge. The second challenge was, beans, right? You don't think of beans as being like an indulgent flavor, right? It's like a bean puff. I don't know, am I going to be attracted? Is that going to taste good? I think that's the consumer perception, right? When they see a snack, especially an indulgent snack. So the reason for that is because, there's a flavor, a characteristic flavor of beans. We say it's a beanie taste. And there are compounds that are responsible for this. And we know what they are, like hexanol, like for instance. And so that's another challenge. How do we make this product craveable, right? That tastes really good. And the other challenge is, again, some people are very sensitive to beans. I know a few people that say, no, I'm always staying away from beans. They upset my stomach. And so, if you're going to have a snack that you're supposed to munch a lot into, obviously, you feel like, okay, we don't want people to think that this product is going to give them digestive issues. If you go to the next slide, So here's what we did in order to overcome these challenges. Again, I said it was going to be an R&D focused presentation because I am an R&D guy, and this is what I live for, right? And this is why it took us so long to get to launch, because we had to solve all these problems. But we came up with this really good, a matrix of ideas of how to potentially overcome those challenges. In the case of the protein, we knew that if we combine it with some other plant-based ingredients, we could get a complete protein. And in this case, we figured, hey, what are some ingredients, plant-based ingredients that are very tasty? So for us, peanuts was the answer, okay? So peanuts are very tasty. They are very accepted by the consumer as being indulgent. So that solves the flavor issues as well, right? And when you combine it with other seasonings like cocoa and cinnamon, barbecue, right? Like cheese, like they kind of become one matrix that they sort of enhance each other, So at the end, you have a very full flavor world, that is giving you these beans, right? Combined with peanuts and all these other seasonings. And then finally, the digestive problem issues. What we did is we're actually using dehydrated cooked beans that have been soaked, right? So when you soak them, a lot of the carbohydrates that are responsible for those issues, because they ferment in your gut, they become at a lower level because they leach out of the product, out of the beans before we use them. So when we get them, they're actually much lower, right, on those fermentable carbohydrates. So our beans actually do not cause a flatulence or stomach upset. And we have actually, put a certification of low FODMAP in our packages to show people that now you can have beans. You can have beans and not have to worry that they're going to upset your stomach. If you go to the next slide, this is the part as an entrepreneur that I want everybody to think about. Once you have a product, and once you have the idea and you have validated this, and you've done the consumer test and change your packaging and make it look nice, you got to worry about making the stuff operations, right? For us, the biggest challenge that we had is because we use peanuts. When you use peanuts, it's an allergen. It's a big allergen here in the USA, and it becomes almost limited in terms of the places that we can go to make our product. Most companies will not have peanuts in their facilities if they're making something else. So it made it very challenging for us to find a co-packer that could make our product. Every time we found one, after a period of about a year, we were being kicked out, basically. Just to give you an idea, in the last 6 years, we have moved 4 times. The good news is that this is our last move, hopefully, until we grow bigger. We have now our own space. We have a place that we're leasing here in New Jersey, very close to our home. And we have all our equipment. We own every piece of it. And we are now a facility that can only make our product now. We're actually now expanding into the private label world. So we can actually do bean puffs for other brands, including some of the big CPG brands have approached us to help us with some of that, as well as do co-manufacturing for other entrepreneurs that want to start a business using beans as a way of making puffs. So this is a little bit of the story. Hopefully I gave you a sense of how we got to where we were and some of the really cool opportunities that arise from challenges, right? When you have a challenge, your world comes down, you feel depressed, you think like you want to throw the towel, but then, when you regroup, you sort of see the opportunities that come up. When something really goes wrong, there's always an opportunity. And it's up to us as entrepreneurs to see that opportunity and seize on it. In our case was to create this manufacturing facility, which now we offer, so much opportunities to grow as a private label manufacturer as well.
Dr. Juan, I'm so happy to hear of your success. This has been an incredible presentation, and I do wish you were in person so that we could connect, because I know we have a ton of questions for you. We are running a bit low on time, so thank you again for your time and such an incredible story. I always love hearing your story. And with that, I'd like to make sure that we're saving time for our last panelist, Michael Lusink. He is doing incredible things, and I am so eager to hear a little bit more about his story. So Michael, you want to take it away?
My name is Michael Lusink. I'm a food scientist. I'm also the founder of Boon, and Boon is Dutch for bean. In 2014, during my study food innovation, I did research in the protein transition, and I won a Foodmanship Award for best graduation assignment. I turned my project into a company, and I would love to share some learnings from the Dutch market. This is the big question: feeding 9 billion people in 2015. In 2050, we are with 2 billion more people on this planet. With our consumer habits, we exhaust the planet. Land use is really important in feeding the world. Most land we use is nowadays for animal protein, and that's not efficient. We use 6 kilograms of beans and grains, and the output is 1 kilogram of animal protein. We need to use our land to feed people. Think about how much more people we can feed if we use our land directly to feed people instead of animals. And beans are great in the protein transition. There are a lot of good things about beans. They are sustainable, they have a low footprint, they are super healthy. We have proteins, fibers, vitamins, and a lot of minerals. And we can produce beans locally. They store nitrogen and also give it back to the soil. But there is also a challenge. The weekly consumption of beans in the Netherlands is 35 grams. So there's room for progression. And we don't know how to prepare tasteful bean dishes. This is what we want. Make beans the center of the plate in every household. So what we did is we built an innovation timeline to infiltrate in the daily menu. In Horizon 1, we started with bean meals for your main course, like bean meals, also meat successors. In Horizon 2, we starting with in-between moments. We introduce bread snacks, frozen products, cold cuts and spreads. In Horizon 3, bean products for every moment of the day. Think about breakfast products, bean bars and more. This was our first product in the Netherlands. We started with the bean bags. We put bean in the bags with water, herbs, and spices, and you have a delicious meal. You only have to add one ingredient, tortillas, rice, or potatoes, and then you have a really quick meal. In a microwave, you can eat this product in 60 seconds. We also started with bean bread snacks. These are steam buns with bean fillings inside. And this is a really popular snack in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, we call them bapau. And we introduced the first plant-based option in the Netherlands. And this is also one of our biggest category, the next generation of plant-based meat. The plant-based market is growing in the Netherlands. And in this section, we saw a big opportunity for beans. This was also really important for the positioning of beans, because if you make a burger with beans, everybody understands these are your protein on your plate, because form follows function. What we also did is developing a bean sausage, bean mince, and also fermented products like tempeh. And what we also did in the Netherlands, we started with the first bean-based tuna. In 2019, we started a new company, See So Good. We developed the next generation of plant-based fish. We see a lot of good developments in the plant-based consumption. Nowadays, 5% of all meat we consume in the Netherlands is plant-based. And if we look at the milk section, 12% of the total market in the Netherlands is plant-based milk. But if we look at our oceans, 70% of the earth is oceans, and fish is the #1 protein worldwide. Overfishing and pollution is a really big problem. That's why we also started with Atún Vegano, plant-based tuna. We started in the Dutch market, and next year we also going to introduce, this year we also going to introduce these products in the Spanish market. That was my last slide. Thank you for your attention, and we are so happy to explore a collaboration with you guys to push the bean consumption forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm impressed by you all. I mean, I'm speechless up here, and I love that you have the goal to make beans center plate. And I read a little bit about your company with the Atún Vegano. I think it's good to put that on the front of the package so people are really clear that this is a vegan tuna. It has to be clear in the name. And I love that your company has the goal of freeing the seas from commercial fishing, because we all know the impact that that has on our environment. So thinking about the common thread, what I'm hearing from kind of all of these panelists, one, you kind of have to have tenacity to deal with the multitude of unexpected challenges. We haven't even gone there about, these are the expected challenges. There's a mountain of unexpected challenges that any brand would face. But I think the common thread is every individual is really clear about what problem they're trying to solve. So yours in the frozen packaged bean space, creating an innovative snack that appeals to a wide audience, being in the seafood space and having the idea of being a main course and then having those snacks and appealing to your audience is all really powerful. So special thanks to our panel for their fascinating stories. I hope that it's inspired some of you all in the way that it has done for me. And I wish you all the best of luck with the success of your companies. Thank you all so much.